Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, June 7th. I'm Gary Stevens. It is the first Tuesday of the month, which means we feel the zeal. With Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, joins us on the other end of our Zoom connection from his office at Zeeland City Hall. Kevin, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. If you have a question for Kevin about what's going on in Zeeland, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. During last night's meeting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, we are going to say after Labor Day hello to a new director of the Howard Miller Library and Community Center. Tell us all about it.
Yes, we okayed that last night, and she'll be, like you said, starting after Labor Day, and we're looking forward to that. She comes from Naperville, Illinois, and she was very qualified for the job, and we were lucky to get her, I think.
Very fortunate, but also to a certain extent, Zeeland has been fortunate that in the interim, the library and the community center has been handled very well by a couple of ladies that have done a very fine job.
You are correct. They have, and they did it the last time too, before Heather came on board, and that was a little longer. That was almost a year that they were in the interim, but this time not quite that long. But we're just lucky that we have people that can step up and take over when we're in a bind.
Indeed. If you got a question for Kevin Klynstra, he'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. The lady is Amanda Hanson, and she will be the new director of the Zeeland Howard Miller Library and Community Center again, right after Labor Day, as she ties up things in the Zeeland community. If you got a question for Kevin, 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. A couple of things, Kevin, going on in last night's meeting. I wouldn't want to call it housekeeping, but certainly some things that the city needs to address in this manner.
Yes, we voted on the new policy at the library. They wrote up a new policy book, and so we voted and approved that. They just need those kind of things to cover themselves for bad behavior in the library. If somebody is suspended from library use, if the policies that people have to go if they believe a book needs to be replaced. So just nowadays, it's something that we need to have.
Book that needs to be replaced, and we get stories all the time about people returning books 30, 40, 50 years after they take them out. I don't know if we have any stories of that in Zeeland, but certainly some materials got to deal with, we lost a CD, or we lost dare we say, a VHS tape. I don't know if there's any left in the library, but
I don't know. That's true. I don't know if they have any or not, but I know they have a lot of DVDs. So that's a popular thing that people rent out at the library. But I don't think they have VHS anymore, Gary.
There are some relics that no longer here. You can't get the VHS of Top Gun because you went and saw Top Gun Maverick. 616-395-1450. One other thing about the library, and then we'll take a break, Kevin, is the fact that is it really meeting the needs? I'm not so much talking about the library, but maybe the community center. Has the city council and city leaders saying, is the facility meeting the needs of what we have? Or do we have to start thinking, we might have to get a little bit more room or maybe some more amenities or something? Has the community center really grown with the community over the years?
I believe so. Yeah, it's still being used a lot. So yeah, we're very happy on the amount of use it gets. We have not had any discussions if we wanted to expand it. Not too much space where we are right now where it can be expanded. A few years ago, we did expand into the basement. We used to have our emergency operations downstairs, and we made a couple new rooms down there, and in a couple new offices. Our tech department is down in the basement of the community center now. So yeah, we've made use of the space that we had, and I think it's worked out well.
Kevin, I'm not going to ask this to compare your community with other communities along the lake shore, but a story that I reported earlier today stemming from last night's city council meeting in Grand Haven, where that community made the decision on a split vote to open up its waterfront parking to vendors to charge for waterfront parking instead of having it for free, with the possibility of having municipal parking lots become paid parking lots. The rationale behind the proposal, Kevin, was that they did not want to see the residents and property owners in Grand Haven foot the bill for the annual cost of maintenance and upkeep of city-owned parking lots in Grand Haven. Has the issue of parking, especially in the downtown area, been something that from time to time during your years at Zeeland City Council, has that been an issue that has been discussed as to, how can we be able to make it fair for those who live here, but also make it so that it's not a detraction because people may not want to come to an area where they got to pay to park their car?
Yeah, that's a fine line we have to walk, Gary. It's we in the summertime we get increased volume with our splash pad, especially in the downtown area. So it's been a kind of a problem where people park on Main Street and kind of take spots away from the businesses that are on Main Street. So we've invested in some signs and say splash pad parking behind the stores and the parking lots. Try to steer them away from our Main Street parking. But yeah, I've been to Traverse City where they have parking meters, and to me I think it's deterrent for people to come to your downtown. Of course, Traverse City doesn't have that problem. They draw a lot of people because it's a tourist town. Grand Haven probably similar. Their riverfront is a popular place. Their beach is close to downtown. So yeah, I can see where they would have probably more of a problem than what we do. But we're having a parking assessment done again in the near future this summer. We were supposed to have it done a couple of years ago, but because of COVID, we wanted to get a true gauge on what our downtown parking really is. The restaurants weren't very busy or they were closed for quite a while. And so now things are back to normal. So we're going to have it done this summer. So we'll see how that comes out and see what our use is in our parking lots. And certain times of day there are full, and it's hard to find a parking space. So yeah, I would be against charging for our downtown parking. We used to have meters years ago, and it always worked. So it's not like we never did charge for parking, but yeah, so I would try to steer away from that, though.
Are there concerns and my knowledge of the downtown area and having been there for a number of events over the years, for those who are not in our immediate area and maybe not as familiar with the Zeeland setup, downtown is placed in a way where there is the railroad track that serves as a sort of a natural northern barrier for downtown. You really don't get that many people who would park on the other side of the tracks and then walk across the tracks to get to downtown Zeeland. That it doesn't seem like a feasible thing. Maybe they might do it for, a major parade, but for the most part, that's really doesn't happen. But I'm thinking more to a certain extent, the other three sides of downtown when there is something big going on, like the car show that's going to be coming up, or the parades that come up, and people start trying to find parking spots, and that you can't park. It's all filled up in the downtown lots, and they park on the side streets. They park in the residential areas. Has council heard a lot of complaints from some of the residents that live near downtown, like, "Hey, I can't get into my driveway, or I can't park my car because there's all these other cars in there." I don't know whether or not that's been a concern.
I have not heard any of the complaints. Probably the only complaint we get is when we have our Zeeland Zoom, the 5K race, and the streets are blocked off. Then sometimes people can't get to their houses during the run. But other than that, I haven't heard any complaints about people parking where they're not supposed to, or in front of driveways, or usually they stick to pretty close to downtown. You gave the example of the car show. Then our main street is blocked off, so a lot of the parking spaces are used up. But usually people find a space in one of the church lots, or behind the stores. So it usually works out.
Speaking
But
of church,
we have to add to that, though, Gary. We do have some complaints about our one-way streets. We've got Centennial Street, which is a one-way street. We have complaints that we get people into town, but there's no way to get them out. So we are looking at that. So when we do block a street off, like with a peddler's market with Church Street, it makes it a little harder to get around with Centennial being a one-way street and Elm Street being a one-way street. So we are going to look into that this year and see maybe we can bring Centennial Street back to two-way.
The other thing, and I'll take a break on this, Kevin. Speaking about church parking lots, over the past month or so, council approved some lease and improvements for the first Christian Reformed church parking lots the city has to use from time to time.
Right, and we are going to share costs with them to repave the parking lot that they have between Cherry and Main Street. And that is one of the more used parking lots that we have for our Main Street. That one and Second Reform's lot, which we have a lease with, and North Street Church, which we have a lease with. So this is a new lease for First CRC, so it works out well for both parties.
One more city council matter I'd like to touch with you today, Kevin, deals with one of the main north-south arteries through Zeeland, basically the one that splits Zeeland in two. It is State Street, and there are a lot of traffic signals there, and council and the city looking at possibly adjusting some of the timing of those signals. I'm not certain whether to slow traffic down or to make it a little bit more easier to negotiate. Where are we standing on that?
Yes, we had a traffic study done on exactly that, the timing of the traffic signal and the movement of traffic, especially during rush hour. And when the high school and Gentex, they both get out about the same time at 2:30 in the afternoon, and State Street gets pretty congested. So they found that a couple of lights needed to be synchronized a little better to keep traffic moving. One of our council people did complain of Central Avenue that sometimes it only allows several cars to get through before the light turns red again. But the reason is because State Street is so busy, and if you allow the light to stay too long on Central Avenue, then the traffic backs up past Main Street on State Street. So it's all very synchronized. MDOT actually is in charge of that because it is a trunk line that runs through our city. So yeah, they'll have to synchronize those lights a little better and get things moving. But all in all, besides 2:30 in the afternoon or 5 o'clock, traffic does move well through there, and you just have to be a little more patient.
There are some things going on in Zeeland I want to point out, and Kevin can comment on them as the mayor of the city of Zeeland. Coming up on Thursday, Music on Main. And then a week from tomorrow, the 15th, the start of the weekly pop-up in the park at the Howard Miller with the Howard Miller Library, and cycling in the city. More Music on Main on the 23rd. And then, as Kevin mentioned, the Zeeland Zoom 5K is coming up on the 28th. So things are starting to heat up as summer comes.
Lots of events going on, and that's good. The Music on Main Street has become a popular event, and we had quite a few of those last year around Pumpkin Fest and a few before that, and we're all very well attended. We get some food trucks in, and it's a fun night for our community and anybody else that wants to come, and they get some good bands in, and I know what my wife and I enjoy it. I think we've been to just about every one. And then, of course, you mentioned the Zeeland Zoom. That, again, is a popular event. So we usually get over 1,000 runners that come in, and another good draw to bring people into our city.
The other thing I do want to mention, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier about the splash pad, is the season now underway with the splash pad, or are we still maybe a week or two away until it gets really, really hot?
No, it did open up that week before Memorial Day, I think it was, when we had some warm weather. It opened up, and it's on warm days. It's been very busy, and like Lake Michigan's a little cool to go swimming in right now, so we get people into our splash pad instead. And I think a lot of times mothers would rather take their kids to the splash pad where it's a little safer. They don't have to worry about them wandering out into the lake too far. So yeah, it's on warm days, it's been a very popular place in our downtown.
A couple of things I do want to mention, although we probably chat with you in our next conversation at the beginning of July, beginning on the 5th. In fact, that's the day I think we will have our chat with Kevin. The Sounds of Summer concert series will begin at Lawrence Street Park. And we mentioned about the Show and Shine Car Show, the second weekend in July 8 and 9, having been there a few times myself. A fun time is had by all.
You're exactly right, Gary. It is a good show. People always love the car show. They bring out a lot of people, and we just hope for nice weather. So it's kind of hard to shine your cars if it's raining, but they usually have good crowds for that. And then you mentioned the Sounds of Summer. And again, a popular event on Tuesday nights in the summertime for the month of July. Come on out. They get some good bands in, and we have to thank Carrie Van Dort. She arranges all these things, and she does a good job.
He is Kevin Klynstra. He is the mayor of the city of Zeeland. He joins us on a monthly basis to talk a little bit about what's going on in his community. Kevin, as always, thank you very much for your time. Wish you and everyone in Zeeland well over the next month or so. And if all goes well, we'll do this again in July. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Gary, have a good day.
Thank you very much, Kevin Klynstra, 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.